Welcome to the Thyroid Fixer podcast, where we dive deep into the world of thyroid and hormones, especially for you ladies navigating perimenopause and menopause, and really for anyone struggling with hypothyroidism. I'm your host, Dr. Amy, thyroid and hormone specialist and CEO of a global telemedicine practice where we prescribe the right thyroid treatment and bioidentical hormones to all 50 states and most of Canada, helping you become that badass human that you're meant to be. So if you're battling weight gain and hair loss, you can't lose weight no matter what you do, your energy levels are plummeting and your libido left town, then you're in the right place and you have found your tribe. Remember, I want you to embrace every inch of that badass woman that you truly are. So if you're ready to dive in and fix things, let's get started. Are you finally at your wit's end where you are tired of dealing with doctor after doctor? Maybe you've spent thousands on integrative or functional practitioners that have not helped you at all because they don't know the thyroid and hormones. They're not even testing properly. So come work with myself and my team. We prescribe to all 50 states and parts of Canada. I have you covered. I've been building this team for years so that I could help you no matter where you are. All you have to do is click the link in the show notes, book a free application call. We're going to go over your current health situation, what worked, what hasn't worked, all the things. And then we will pair you up with the right program for you where we will do it all. You will come out the other side of the program, totally optimized, getting your life back. You're going to recognize the person you see in the mirror again. Doesn't that sound absolutely amazing? Well, it might sound like you don't even believe it, but I promise you, we will take good care of you. So click the link in the show notes, book a call today, and we'll be talking to you soon. So this is going to be a game changer for you, and you can probably hear the excitement in my voice. The latest introduction, the latest member of the family to the Fixer line is Metabolism Fixer. And this, oh my God, I formulated this just for all my people out there that need to lose weight, that need help in the weight loss department, that can't lose weight no matter what they do, that feel like they have a slow metabolism, and that might be thinking of trying all those peptides out there, you know, the Beverly Hills Soccer Mom drug of choice for weight loss peptides. Or even if you're on them already and you're like, man, these are really expensive and I'm still not losing weight, add in Metabolism Fixer. Here's what I did. I took the power of T2, which increases your basal metabolic rate while you are sitting there watching Netflix. You're burning fat while you're watching Netflix. I combined it with a very unique patented ingredient called Suppressa. Suppressa has multiple clinical trials backing its efficacy in reducing your appetite, decreasing snacking, and providing way more control over your food intake. It is amazing. We also see improved emotional well-being, just decreased food cravings all around, reduced hunger, and weight management. Add on top of that, we have green tea extract, we have purple forest purple tea extract, both of which affect the metabolism in a very positive way without the jitters of normal fat burning supplements out there from the 1980s and 90s, right? The ones that made you feel like you're having a heart attack. You will not have that in any of my supplements, Thyroid Fixer or Metabolism Fixer. But Metabolism Fixer, ooh, yeah, we kicked it up a notch. It is in powder form, so you can drink it through your day. It's going to flavor your water. We got Orange Crush and Refreshing Citrus. I love them both. It is going to keep you under control all day long. So you throw a couple scoops in your water bottle in the morning, throw a scoop or two in your water bottle throughout the day. You will have fat burning and appetite control the entire day for what? An eighth of a price of the peptides? Oh my God, you can't go wrong. So grab some Metabolism Fixer today. Please let me know how you do on it. I am super excited for you. Super excited. Sandy, you know I love you to death. And for all my listeners listening, you are going to love this woman as well. She is a powerhouse. She is a ball of fire. On top of that, she is a walking pillar of health. She has muscles that most of you would kill for. And she is 74, and you would never know it to look at her. So we're in many masterminds together. We've been at events together. And when I run into Sandy and we start talking, every single time she amazes me with her knowledge and her passion and vitality for health and how she takes care of herself. And then she'll go into what she's seeing in her population of people that she deals with. And they're younger than her, and they're not even doing the things that she does to take care of themselves, to look, feel, and perform at their absolute best. So that's why I'm going to pick her brain today. And you all need to listen, because if you are under the age of 74, you have no freaking excuse why you are not doing these things to take care of yourself. And if you're sitting there complaining that you just don't feel good and nothing is working, this story really should inspire you. So, Sandy, thanks for coming on. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Well, your formal intro preceded, or your formal introduction preceded that intro. But that's from the heart. Yes, you have a boatload of expertise and experience, but that's what I feel when we're in the room together and I'm talking to you. And that's why I wanted to really have you on the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You do so much in this health space. What got you there? Most of us have a story of some debilitating health issue that we had, that, the pain to purpose story. So what brought you into this functional world?
Well, it certainly was not where I imagined ending up, because I was in the 60s in college, and at that time I was going to be a teacher, like so many of us were. And fortunately, I didn't do well in student teaching. And so I didn't go into education, but specialized in special education. Now we call those kids neurodivergent. And that really started me down a path of looking at this area that we call mind-body medicine, because early on, we're talking like 1970, 72, I was looking at breathing techniques and helping these kids, helping parents. I was doing workshops, relaxation for teachers, stress management for teachers. That eventually led to getting a doctorate in psychology. And I was always a renegade psychologist. I was not buying into the whole Freudian approach and that you needed deep analysis, psychotherapy. I was focusing as a health psychologist using biofeedback. I was very fortunate to train with Albert Ellis, who is considered one of the fathers of cognitive behavior therapy. And that's how you learn how to think straight, that your thinking can be very irrational, and you help people by helping them to get really clear in terms of their thinking, and pair that with mind-body medicine, with the kind of strategies to calm yourself, to quiet yourself when you need to. And I also studied at the Institute for Functional Medicine in functional medicine. I was actually the only psychologist in 2013, their first class to get board certified. And at the time, I was a psychologist, and I was 65, and I just thought, I feel like I want a bigger mission. I felt like I could integrate all these things I had been teaching and helping people with for so many years. So I founded a school to train health coaches. So actually coming back to where I started in education. And what really led me to this strong belief in self-efficacy, feeling empowered to take charge of your health, is because I had some early experiences when I was in my 20s. I got horrible panic attacks. And I remember being given a medication, and I looked it up in the physician's desk where I thought, wait a minute, this is like heart medication. I don't need this. And I just threw it away. And that's when I got into biofeedback and learned how to stop panic attacks, not taking into account that at the time I was binging on sugar, I wasn't working out, probably getting very few hours of sleep, and I wasn't putting it all together. And that's the beauty of a functional medicine approach, that you do connect the dots and you look at the root causes.
Right. Oh, that's so powerful. So here you are, you're kind of moving through your career path, you're getting into functional medicine, but that was just 10 years ago. Did you start really taking care of yourself before that? I mean, like I said earlier, your arms are to die for. You work out every day. We'll talk about your exercise regimen, but were you always that in tune with your body, or did that kind of come about after you went into IFM training?
When I was younger, I was in tune with my body, thinking how awful it was. No, I'm flabby. My stomach's too big. I have pictures of myself like in kindergarten, and I was all like, bent over. I always didn't have good posture. I always felt like I was too short and too fat. And so my experience with my body was very negative. I was in college. I remember I would binge on sugar. I would then, I'll just eat a bag of carrots the next day, and lose 5 pounds quickly to fit into the party dress for the weekend. It was all about appearances. It was never gained a tremendous amount of weight and lost it. I wasn't that, but it was always like 5-10 pounds. And I always thought of myself as very, very clumsy. I was the slowest runner in grade school. We had to do the broad jump, and there's Sandy. I could barely, get from here to there. And so I was the last person to be picked for sports teams. So I never thought of myself as someone who was drawn to any kind of sports and at that time, we're talking the 60s, when I was in college, that women we didn't work out. It was not the thing to do. Weightlifting, like, what's that? I was like, wait, there's some, bodybuilders that didn't exist for women. Yeah. But I got involved when I was in my 30s, actually late 20s. Jane Fonda became big. And you should have seen my closet of leotards and matching leg warmers. I loved those kinds of classes. And so occasionally there were machines at this gym, the Nautilus machines. And I would go through the circuit, but half-heartedly, never really focusing on their importance. But I took a lot of dance. I did yoga. I got very into yoga. But I would say taking care of myself, I was very much based on what was trending. If you were in my kitchen and you would see I collect cookbooks, and there's all the, there's the macrobiotic phase and the vegetarian and vegan and raw vegan. And I never felt worse when I was a raw vegan. It was awful, but I thought it was the right thing. That was what, at the time, it was something that I thought I was doing something to be healthy. And so it really, my thinking evolved. And I think there were periods of time where I look back and, I was probably so lacking in protein. Especially as a vegan. I mean, definitely I was fatigued and I didn't realize what was going on. And that's the beauty of what we know now. I think the science has emerged. And so really aware of the critical importance of things like protein. And now I sit down and eat huge steaks, and my friends say, "What? You ordered a steak?"
Expand on that, because I remember that from our conversation. Like, you will sit down and you will eat this whole steak, and I'm going to stereotype here because I see it with my dad and his wife. They'll go out and they'll get a meal and they'll split it, or they'll take half of it home, and they're leaving this large amount of protein on their plate. So really that equates to, okay, you each got maybe 15 grams of protein at this meal. That's not going to keep your muscles on. You're risking sarcopenia. You're risking bone fracture now because you don't have the muscle structure to even protect your skeletal system. So expand on that, because I found that very interesting when we were talking.
Yes, this was an evolution, because I had years of being a vegan and not realizing, I would go to the doctor and say, "Oh, you're anemic." Well, I never connected. Nobody ever told me, and I never really looked further into what was going on. And at the time, there were several things at play. One, it was this attitude that, I'm healthier because I'm vegetarian, and then when I was a vegan. And so it was a slow process of eating animal food. Again, I remember the first time I had steak, I had to wrap it in kale. So it was like a cube, like inside of a crouton. But now I aim for at least 100 grams of protein a day, and the 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. And I have to eat over, because my weight is like 89 pounds. So when I go out with friends, for example, we were out to dinner with another couple a few nights ago, and you're exactly right. They got a meal and they split it. And he had most of it. It was a fish, and he had most of it, and she had this tiny little piece.
Mhm.
And I ordered a steak. And this particular restaurant, we had a choice. You can get a 12 ounce, in a particular cut, I wanted a sirloin. You can get a 12 ounce, an 8 ounce, and a 6 ounce. And my husband said, wait, you got the 8 ounce? Like, that's, and I think that there are reasons for this. I've taught courses in the psychology of eating, and I've always been fascinated with what influences our food choices and eating behaviors. And one of the big influences is its gender differences. So it's changing now. But the old fashioned, if you go into a steakhouse that was, say, designed in the 90s, it's dark paneled, there might be stuff on the wall. That's not for ladies. I've planned a lot of bridal showers and, events that are, and ladies' luncheons that I've gone to. You would never be served meat, red meat. You're served a salad with a few slices of chicken on it.
That's so true.
So we are under eating protein, and then their appetite does go down as we get older. But I think there are lots of things you can do as hacks to get around that. And protein first. It's really hard, especially those of us who are in our over 60. It's really hard to eat that much protein.
Now, I pound that
critical
all the time, but can you expand with your own knowledge on why it is so important to actually increase the amount of protein as you age?
Yeah, I think the main thing is to avoid sarcopenia. Our muscles need to, in order to maintain muscle, we lose so much muscle with every decade. And how do we build muscle? How do we maintain it? It's the amino acids. We need protein. And there is a hack that you could do, and that is I've really gotten into essential amino acids. So I have them right now, and I just...
Me too. They're here.
And so it's a way to get in more amino acids because we tend to be in a catabolic state, and we want to be having a hypertrophy. We want to grow muscles. They say it's impossible. And I actually said, I measure through an in-body scale, actually see that I am building muscle because I look back where I was from the in-body in like 2016 and see, well, I've gained like 6 pounds of muscle. Okay, but it is from just being so committed. And you're right, it is not just the exercise alone, but it is the getting that adequate amount of protein.
The feeding your muscles, right? Because if
Feeding
you're
your
working
muscles.
out,
Yeah.
and I want to touch, I mean, you dropped her weight. You said that you're 89 pounds. She's tiny. Like you can't judge her. No, she doesn't have an eating disorder. Like you are just in stature. You're tiny. You're smaller than me. You're like 5 foot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, that is a great weight. And I should have told you to wear like a tank top or something so you can flex, but if you see this woman with a tank top on, you will see the striations in her shoulders. You will see the muscles. So at what point in your life did you start making resistance training part of your personal hygiene? Because like you said, even if I go back in my memory to the 70s and go into the YMCA, all the dudes were in the weight room and the women were, remember those shaking things that went around your body and they would just vibrate back and forth? Right? I mean, I don't even know what that did. It didn't do anything. But at what point in time did you make that shift and then actually start picking up weights?
Yeah, it was recently because I remember even like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, yoga was it. And then yoga is very dance-like. So I was naturally very attracted to it. So, and I remember being told by yoga instructors, well, if you do yoga, you don't need weightlifting. This is, you are getting strong. You're doing arm balances. And I do handstands every day. But it's not enough. You need to do more. You need to push and pull heavy things. So it really was about during the pandemic when gyms were closed and I said, well, am I going to do? I'll start bringing in equipment. And so gradually I got more equipment at home and started, I'll do 50 push-ups. Well, no, I'll go further. I can do 100 push-ups. And I just like throughout the day was doing push-ups and squats with just body weight. And then I got a system, which I really, really recommend. It's pricey. It's called a Tonal. The reason I like it, and so it is like, it's AI and you have your own kind of personal trainer. But what I love about it for women is that you can increase or decrease the weight by 1 pound. So like just before our call, I had like 10 minutes. Oh, I'll go downstairs and do some, and I increased the weight by 1 pound. And I was able to do that. Whereas if I'm at the gym, that's not possible. They have the 2.5 pound plates. And so I feel like I'm stuck at that weight because I can't go further unless you have a trainer who's going to help you get started with a higher weight and push it out for you, for example, or spot for you, because it can get dangerous if you're using a heavier weight. But with this, it's safe because if it starts to get too heavy, you can just turn off the weight you can press it off. So I think I think they should design a system for women. They should design one. These, and you mentioned earlier, all the dudes are at this section of the gym there. It's intimidating for women to go into these areas. They don't know how to use, these Smith machines and these big weight machines, but they're not made for women. And I don't mean making them pink and, pastel colors, but really like having them sized better for women in terms of being able to increase weights or if you need to decrease them too. So that's why I love the Tonal. So that's what really helped me to lift heavier and then realizing that I didn't have to do it all at once. So I didn't have to go into the gym for an hour and be in that weight room for an hour. I just said, I can do those. Today, I take a ballet class at my gym. I still love doing dance because I think it's great for your brain too, and it's a great community. But I went into the weight area. Okay, I only have 5 minutes. I'm going to just go on the leg press. Or I'm obsessed with learning how to do pull-ups. And so every other day, I'll just run. I can do that. I can do some errands, and then I'll run into the gym and I'll do some pull-ups. So it seems doable if you do it like as a snack throughout the day. Say, I can do that. I have a little break. I can do 10 sets of air squats, while I'm waiting for my coffee to be made.
Okay. Did you know that your thyroid uses more minerals than any other organ in your body? So when your mineral stores are high, your thyroid works well, but your thyroid is expensive for your body to maintain. It needs close to 12 minerals to function. So selenium, zinc, iodine, you've heard me talk about it, magnesium, iron, so much more. So if you're deficient in one mineral, your thyroid gland can get thrown out of balance. And here's the sad part. You're not going to find these minerals in food, no matter how great of a diet you are eating. And you're not going to find them just slamming down salt drinks and taking boatloads of selenium and eating Brazil nuts. It's just not enough. So when we look at the CDC, their latest national nutrition survey found that 97% of Americans are deficient in at least one mineral. So these deficiencies, they're going to mess with your thyroid. They're going to cause autoimmune issues. They're going to cause weight gain. They're going to cause heart problems and, hair loss. So for those of you grabbing clumps of hair out of your brush and freaking out, could be a mineral thing. But what if you could actually give your body all the minerals it needs in just one shot per day? 30 seconds. That's it. I have learned so much diving into Beam Minerals. And I have even learned that taking Beam Minerals can help with the uptick of your thyroid medication so that your cells can actually utilize the thyroid med you're taking, the hormones that you're taking. You need to have Beam Minerals in your life to operate at a higher level. You don't have to change your lifestyle. You don't have to adopt a whole bunch of new habits. Just take a shot of liquid every morning, throw it in your coffee. It tastes like water. You cannot go wrong with Beam Minerals. These are high quality, full spectrum minerals that have every single essential mineral in the right ratios to feed your cells. My patients love it. My audience loves it. I've been using it. My whole family uses it. I give it to my dog. I put it on my plants so that they grow better. Yes, plants will actually grow better when you feed them minerals. So when you think about that, what about your own body? You're going to head to beamminerals.com, BEAMMINERALS.com. Use the code Dr. Amy for 20% off your first order. And then you can just thank me later when you're feeling that much better. I was going to expand on that because you had said like, oh, just, take a pause and do some push-ups and do some air squats. And I think that's it's an important part to focus on, that you don't have to do the all or nothing. Well, I don't have an hour to go into the gym, and then I'm going to have to drive there, and then I have to shower afterwards. So it's really kind of 2 hours of my day. So I'm just not going to do anything today because I just don't have the time.
Right.
And to your point, it's like, well, I mean, can I drop down and do a set of push-ups after our call before the next one? Yes, I can. And I mean, thank you for reminding me, because actually today was one of those days. I was just back to back to back to back. And I mean, basically you just kind of slapped me upside the head to say, listen, that's not an excuse. I could still do a set of air squats. I could do a set of push-ups. I'm not going to get all gross and sweaty to where I have to go redo my makeup. We can do these small movements that really do have an impact on our body.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's very, very efficient to do it that way. And it does add up. And it's also, I feel very strong, very empowered, but I did one more than I did the day before. But also is different. And so having that sense of humility and being aware that it doesn't always have to be making a personal record. And sometimes if you pull back and you rest, or you just say, okay, today, I only did so many. So I do 100 push-ups a day, but I don't get all the way to the floor. But I also, as part of my yoga routine, there's a chaturanga push-up. Right. You have your elbows are touching your waist. And so when I first started, I could not get to the floor. This was about a year ago. And then I'm going to work my way up. And so now I'm up to, I've done 19. So my goal is, okay, maybe I'll get to 20 where I can go completely down to the floor and then up again without stopping. So the 100, I'll do 60 and then I'll rest and then I'll do another 40.
What? Are you on your toes doing this?
For push-ups?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's not the knees. It's not the modified. It's the full plank one.
Girl, my podcast editor is going to have to edit out my gaping jaw and the long pause that I just had, because that's unbelievable. I can't even do that. I cannot even do that. That is incredible. So I'm sorry. If anyone has an excuse for anything in their life, I'm calling bullshit on them right now. Because if you, and again, you're tiny. Like yes, you only have 89 pounds to move up and down, and you have amazing muscles, but that really takes some dedicated time and attention to be able to do that. Like you don't just drop down and start doing 100 push-ups. You have to work up to that. So mad props to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked up to it at the height of the pandemic because I didn't have a lot of equipment at home and not much to do either. We weren't going out. So I would do 100 in the morning and then 100 afternoon and 100, before dinner. I was just like, so it just became my thing because I read somewhere and heard a number of places about that podcast that push-ups are really efficient. And especially, you're working your abs and it is something that I'm constantly focusing on improving my form and not dropping my head. So there's a lot to focus on. And so I like whole body exercises. And There are some things that I feel like I keep doing every day, although they say, you need a rest day. And I have days that are easier than others, but certain things that are just part of my routine. So it's just become like brushing my teeth. I feel that way with handstands. So when I started taking yoga, which was maybe 20 years ago, I was so scared. I could not do any kind of inversions. Oh, headstand, handstand, like no way could I do that. And I remember I once got up with assistance and it kept me down. It was so scary. And now I travel with my yoga mat. And so, because there's certain poses that I have to do, including a headstand, a handstand, and a shoulder stand. Those are my go-tos. Splits. There's so many forms of fitness that you have to. It's so important to include. It's not just resistance training. Well, what about flexibility? What about balance? Those are really important. So I need to focus on those as well.
That's so true. And so what mindset do you have to do this every day? I know, I mean, your jam is psychology and the whole mind body connection. So what would you say to people that just can't find that reason to do it, that can't find that motivation?
So there's several things. One is, and you can do it two ways. One is more of a positive. So, and there's Richard Boyatzis, who is focusing on organizational development, organizational psychology, and leadership at Case Western Reserve. Has done a lot of work, and it's called a positive emotional attractor, PEA. So you look to the future in a positive way, like you see yourself. So I can see myself, for example, playing with my grandkids, years from now, or just still being vibrant and having a lot of energy. And that's the positive emotional attractor. It's going to attract me so much that I'm going to say, today, I'm going to do this because it's going to get me to where I want to be. And there's also, and that really, really works, because it puts your body in a parasympathetic state. It's like, oh, that looks nice as you dream about it. The opposite is a negative emotional attractor. Now, that can work for some people. It works for me because I do not want to have sarcopenia. I want to get up off the toilet seat. I do not want, I was at a reunion, so my high school, and we were taking a class picture. It was just a bunch of women in the area who got together. We do this every summer. And it was sad because so many people could not get off the ground after the picture was taken. They needed help to get up. That can't be me. So that's the negative. I'm doing something now because I want to avoid something in the future. I want to avoid a chronic disease. I want to avoid cognitive decline. And we know there's a strong relationship between exercise and avoiding cognitive decline. Mental fitness is part of physical fitness. One of the reasons I take dance, because it just came out, there's been lots of studies on this, that dance is the best thing you can do because you have to remember the combination. You have to focus while you're doing it. And so either that PEA or the NEA, and put them together, and I think they're powerful. So that's what motivates me. And then it just becomes a habit. And BJ Fogg talks about this. So I'm making my coffee and I don't even think about it. I'll just do 15 squats and I'll do another 15 set of 15, just because I do it every day and I don't even think about it. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't think about it. Oh, should I do it or not?
I love that. I'm thinking of maybe doing a challenge with my audience, but also with myself. Who can do, let's even put the bar low. Let's just say 25 push-ups and 25 air squats in a day. Doesn't have to be in a row. You can break them up. And then once you hit that 25, who can do 50 of each? And then maybe we raise the bar to 100 of each. And let's see if we can't make that a daily habit, because that alone would change your body composition. Doing 25 to 100 push-ups and air squats every day is going to make your butt rounder, going to make your shoulders pop, going to make your triceps and biceps stronger. I mean, it's going to improve top to bottom body composition.
I love that. And that's actually how I got started because I was do 25 push-ups and it also pairing it like every time after I go to the bathroom, you have to go to a bathroom a lot. So every time I will do 25 push-ups or with the coffee. And that's an easy, many people use that while I'm waiting and I'm making my coffee in the morning. If you drink coffee, I'm going to do 5 squats. The next day, maybe I'll do 10 squats, but not really say like getting celebrating like yay, even if you just do one, yay, I did one, then that yes, I did it, that is also very, very critical to guarantee that it's going to be a habit you'll sustain and look forward to.
Yeah, it's like putting a stamp in your brain of like a positive reinforcement stamp. Now, on that note, everything that I've heard about the negative phrases, so like you said, what was it, the NEA?
Negative emotional attractor. Yeah.
Right. NEA. So if someone says, I don't want to get sarcopenia, I've always learned, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I've always learned that the brain doesn't hear can't, don't, won't, and it takes that out basically. So it hears, I want to get sarcopenia. Is
That's
that
right.
true or no?
Yes. So if the fear is when there's nothing that is always bad about having that negative emotional attractor. Let's say, I'm going to eat a certain way. I'm avoiding like seed oils, like canola oil, because I know that they've been linked to inflammation.
Right.
And so the fear of getting inflamed is going to result in my choosing foods in a certain way that I look for no seed oils and labels.
Okay, I can see that.
So that is the negative. You're motivated by the negative impact of something. And so you're motivated to have a healthier habit. But what is actually much stronger is if you're motivated when you really dialed into what you want your health for. But that's a big obstacle. I can't do that. I won't be able to do that. This happened, I was in a ballet class on Sunday. And so jumps are really, really good for you in terms of Dr. Stacy Sims said this, for example. So, but many people my age get freaked out by jumps. And I've been to some ballet classes for older women. They don't even want to get into jumps because people get so scared that they're going to get injured with jumps. But if you do it the right way, it actually is really, really good. You need that bouncing, that pounding for bone, for stimulating the osteoblasts, for example. And it's actually good for joints. So, but people, and often this comes from doctors, well, you better, restrict your activity. You better not do any jumping, or they're just afraid that they'll get injured. And so that leads to, I can't do it, as opposed to, I can do it in a modified way. Maybe I can hold on to the bar and I can go up and I can start with heel drops, or, I can do it on a rebounder. And I have a rebounder. I use it every day. I love jumping on a rebounder, but I also love regular ballet jumps because feel like I am getting that pounding in. But if I were to say I can't do it, or I'm afraid, or sometimes there will, and this may come from other people. It could be the words of parents. It could be the words of a spouse or a friend. Oh, you better be careful at your age. And we hear a lot of that. And then that plants the seed that something may go wrong. So I have been doing leg press and I've been working up, and I can do 300. I've pushed 350 pounds on, not the one where you're upside down on like the where you add the weights on yourself, but the machines that are okay. So I got up to, my record was 360, and I felt good afterwards. But I was on some Instagram and I had commented about this, and somebody wrote back, well, you better be working with a personal trainer because that's so much weight. That's catastrophic, if you hurt yourself. And so that was like, so then the next time I went to the gym, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I'll get injured. I think that mindset is so destructive. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be prudent. Prudence is great. I mean, you want to be cautious. You don't want to just go into a deadlift and hurt your back. You don't want to be having the wrong form and get hurt. So you want to be aware of your limits, know when to back off, and work with a trainer if it's critical if you don't know what you're doing or you need that support. But sometimes it's that negative. And when I was a health psychologist, I saw that all the time. I would see doctors say, well, you're going to be needing this medication for the rest of your life. You'll never be able to control this. Your thyroid levels will never go back to normal. Basically, you're damaged and you need this fix for the rest of your life. I once worked with a woman who had very bad panic attacks. I used to get them, so I specialized in panic, one of the things I did, and also working with people with chronic pain. But sometimes it was this one woman, we went to her doctor, and he said she was having panic attacks, but he said, it could, sometimes you could get a heart attack from having a bad panic. Well, that set her off into having worse panic attack, because that was her whole fear that, right. She thought she was dying. She thought she was having a heart attack. And so he, being well-meaning, but not realizing the power of those words.
Right. So when you're working with these people in health psychology, what was the biggest, if there is a permeating thought process that you can connect to various individuals that maybe didn't get results, what holds people back from getting results? And I mean, even when they're doing all or most of the things right.
Yeah, it's that I can't do it. I'm not good at this. It's looking not within, but outside of yourself. If only the situation would change, my life would be better. Mm-hmm. Or if only I found the right approach or the right therapist or the right doctor, everything would be better. It's always looking outside, and it's not taking stock of what you can do right now. Mm-hmm. So there's a book by Ben Hardy. I love him. Yeah. We're in Genius Network together. I don't know if you know Ben. But one of the books he wrote with Dan Sullivan is called The Gap and the Gain. Yeah. And I think it sums it up so well, that we're either in the gap or the gain. And so many of the people I saw are in the gap. And when I'm not in the right place, I'm in the gap. It's a gap is thinking you are comparing yourself to others. You are thinking about where you would like to be, and you think you're not measuring up. I'm not there yet. Or you're looking at where others are and think you're coming up short. Where if you're in the gain is you're looking backwards. So if I look at, I started out, I can only do 25 push-ups. Now I can do 100. This is the weight I did when I started. Now I'm up to a higher weight on this particular machine. Instead of thinking, it's taking so long, I'll never, I want to lift more. Or for example, in pull-ups, which are my goal is I was in the gym with Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, and she just, I'm just walking. I'm just going to do 10 pull-ups, and it's like, and I need an assist to do it. I need to have some support in this, be able to do pull-ups. But so if I were in the gap, I would be thinking, I'm never get to be like Gabrielle. I will not be able to do those full pull-ups without an assist. Whereas if I think, when I started, I needed 40 pounds of weight to do it. Now I need 10 to so I am making progress. Or so you can say, I haven't done it yet. I haven't succeeded in this yet. So it is that mindset. It's so critical to stop and say, wait a minute, am I in the gap or am I in the gain?
That's a great example, because when you say it that way, even I have fell into the gap, whether it's, and that the gap in the gain, that's mainly a business related book, but it can absolutely apply to a variety of different aspects of our life, but especially health. So as you're talking, I'm thinking about the times that I've been in the gap, and really pull-ups would be one of them. That's not my strong movement. I have longer arms. So even when I was powerlifting, I was never good at the bench press. I was always great at squats and deadlifts because my power is in my lower body. Yeah. And I would have easily, if I was in the gym with Gabrielle, slipped into the I'm not good enough. I can't do as many push-up or pull-ups as she is. I need the band to do it. So I must not be working hard enough on my own. So easy to fall into that. So yeah, I can absolutely see that as a huge hang up for people. Now, is there something else? I'm asking you this to try to really dig into the why with some of my patients and even the audience. Is there something else that, and maybe it's a trauma, maybe it's from their past, but there's something that is actually affecting how their body responds. And when we look at like, okay, your labs are all perfect. If you're eating the way that you're telling me, that's amazing for your body. You're getting the movement in, you're getting the sleep in. What is here that's controlling the rest, that's basically saying, no, you're not going to progress. You're not going to lose the weight. We're going to hold on to that fat for dear life. Can you make that connection for me?
Yeah, it can be the sense that I'm not good enough. I don't measure up. And that can start really, really early. And it can also be a sense of a distortion. You don't see yourself often as others see you. And it's that the label goes before you. So I'm fat, I'm a fat woman, or I'm lazy, or I have trauma. And I think that often we've done, people have experienced lots of trauma. But sometimes therapists can reinforce this. They reinforce the notion that you are damaged and you have these limitations. Whereas if you see beyond your limitations, if you see like, yes, this happened to me, or yes, I've struggled, like I've had learning disability, which is why I specialized in it one of my earlier careers. But I had to work really hard to remember things, like in high school, like memorizing things. And so if I pin that label, like I have a poor memory, or I'm bad with directions, or I'm bad at math. We hear that a lot, especially from, I'm so bad at math. I was with someone the other day and they were saying that. Well, no. So in cognitive behavior therapy, you need to break that down. And here's the way you do it. You do it as if you were on a witness stand and you're being cross-examined and someone's going to question you. Well, 100% of the time you're bad at math, or people will say, I had an awful childhood. So I would say to them, well, let's look at that. Like in order for that, it's logic. In order for that statement to be accurate, it would mean that 100% of the time it would be awful. And then they would say, well, no. Can you think of one experience from childhood that was good, where you were happy, where you were laughing, well, yeah, I go to camp, or I had I had friends. Okay, so then that statement, that all or nothing conclusion, isn't accurate. It's faulty thinking. And so once you catch those all or nothing, those catastrophic, this is awful, this is horrible, this shouldn't be happening to me, I'm suffering from this. Well, are you suffering 100% of the time? And so you have a way out. So, yes, there were times, and often there were many experiences that I had that weren't positive. I am resilient, and often then you can go even further with post-traumatic growth, and you have the psychological capital within you to have survived this experience. And what have you learned from it? We fail our way to success. Every experience, in fact, in learning theory, we learn from our mistakes. We learn when I'm doing Duolingo, I'm trying to learn Spanish, even though I had 4 years of it in high school and college, and I still can't speak it well. And it's when you make a mistake that solidifies the learning. And so if you are tolerant of yourself in making these mistakes and say, okay, this is a great opportunity to learn from this.
I love that. That's so true. And it's only in the mistakes or only in the crisis that we grow. So if you're struggling right now with your health and you're thinking that you can't get out of it, number one, I would say ask yourself that 100% question. Whatever that thought is that's permeating your mind, is it 100% of the time that you can't eat right, that you can't remember to take your medication, that you can't remember to take your supplements, that you can't find the time to work out? Is that 100% of the time? And you just nailed it, Sandy. I mean, that's so true, because when you, in asking that question, you stop and you go, oh, well, no, it's not 100% of the time. So if it's not 100%, then there's a path. There's a
That's
path
right.
that you can find, whether it's a path and you need help on that path, or whatever it is. Maybe it's just the 25 push-ups and sit-ups. There's the opening door to more exercise, and it starts with that baby step. So I
Exactly.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, you actually have built a whole training program for health coaches. And so obviously you feel, as I do, that they're very important in a person's journey. But I think the term health coach has gotten thrown around so much lately in the last like 5 to 10 years, that people don't take that seriously. It's almost like they're putting health coaches down here. And I would argue it's because of the amount of people that call themselves a life coach, a health coach, and they
Yes.
have no training and no certification, because there's no governing body out there that says, in order to use the term health coach, you must be certified in this, or this. So what is your take on what I just said, and why is it so important that we need a coach, we need a guide in our health journey?
Sure. So a coach helps you go from where you are to where you want to be. Yes, anyone can call themselves a coach. And
Mhm.
so if you are thinking about working with a coach, which I think can be critical to, it can make or break success for where you want to be. They are helping you meet your goals.
Mhm.
In other words, let's say you were to say, I'm going to do 25 push-ups a day. I want to get in the gym. I've been told by Dr. Amy what the best things for me to eat, but I just can't seem to do it. And that's where the coach would dig further. We're trained in this positive psychology, cognitive behavior, like focusing on that what do you want your health for? What matters most to you? Having this conversation that is personalized to you. But it is having somebody who is, as a coach, who's going to be your ally, who's going to support you. And so there are many aspects of it that are very close to having a therapist. The only difference is that they are not going into doing this deep work about your past and trauma resolution, for example.
Right. Now, are there certain certifications like functional diagnostic nutritionist, FDN? Are there other certifications that do allow those coaches to dive into like the functional labs and talk about supplements and go a little bit deeper?
The power of the coach is to help people change. Your health coach is the one who's going to help you overcome the obstacles. They can also be your advocate, getting through the medical system. They can help you find the right practitioners. So they work with a team approach to have, okay, how about a consult with this person, and then come back and we'll work on your goals. So that is the beauty of the health coaching process.
Well, I have one final question for you, because this really wraps up everything that we have been talking about today in your own personal journey. Is, what does it mean to feel empowered to take charge of your health? Because you've done such a beautiful job at that.
It really means to carve your own path, to feel that you alone know your body, you know your mind, and you're capable of making these decisions. It is not up to somebody else to tell you what to do. You can have people tell you what is best for you, but you have that power to say, yes, this is what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it on my terms. If I'm told that I should be doing this a day, well, maybe I'll start here. Maybe I'll do it in this way. And so when you feel like you have that control, that is empowerment. And that's self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is where you feel like you really matter, and you know yourself best. And so you make those choices, and then you get support from other people. I'm not saying don't get advice or don't learn from other people or don't see practitioners to get that diagnosis, to get a plan, but then you are the one that's empowered to break it down in the way you want to. And you can age younger. It is definitely possible. And you see that and you say, this is what I want. I want to have each day with energy. Wake up with the minute your feet are on the floor, say, today's going to be a good day. That's what I've been doing. My mother used to do it. And I found out that BJ Fogg, the great author of Tiny Habits, does that as well.
That is fantastic. And for anyone listening to this, you might want to pop over to YouTube and just take a peek at the video, because to see Sandy is just, like I said, I should have had you wear a tank top. Damn it. You look so good. And you are such an inspiration to so many people. I said it in the beginning, no excuses, no excuses. As I look at you, I really can't find a reason for anyone to have an excuse to not take care of themselves as we age. So I know we covered a boatload of topics today, but it's all in your wheelhouse, and it's, oh, look at, she's showing those people. Now you have to go to YouTube. Now geez, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. You have such amazing definitions. So now y'all have to go to YouTube and check it out. So Sandy, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your time today. I greatly appreciate it. Love you to death.
Oh, I love you. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks for being an inspiration.